In 2003, I think most of us know this, ExxonMobil became the most profitable corporation in the history of the world ever, period, adjusted for inflation, period, the most profitable company ever. It then surpassed those profits in 2004, 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008, $40 billion in pure profit, right, last year. And that's just one company. When you compare that to the money that we have, right, the environmental, people who are looking out for the environment, people who are trying to protect human rights, people who are trying to protect workers' rights, organizations even, not even individuals, organizations working on behalf of the climate, on behalf of the environment. The financial resources that we have available to us, there's no remote connection. What it translates into is a permeation of policymaking at all levels, from the local to the state to the federal to the international, such that even though we're in a moment in time when even Governor Sarah Palin says, yes, climate change is a real phenomenon. Yes, I can see its impacts on my state of Alaska. Even though we're in that moment, we can still simultaneously end the 27-year moratorium on offshore drilling at that same moment in time. How does that happen? So how are we in this circumstance? So we have this money which permeates, and one of the ways that we see it most often is in campaign contributions, right? So one of the amazing tools that Oil Change has is you go to follow the oil money, and there's also follow the coal money, and you can look at .org, and you can look at every individual oil company and how much they get to every individual member of Congress. And through research that Oil Change has done, and research for the Center on Policy Priorities, Center for Policy Alternatives has done, we've looked at the impact of campaign contributions on votes. And lo and behold, members of Congress that have voted against the environment have received on average 4 times more money from the oil industry than those that vote on behalf of the issues that we care about. On the war votes, which Oil Change did as well, looking at the war funding bills, the members of Congress who have voted for those bills received on average 8 times more money from the oil and gas industry. So clearly, I think this is one of many examples of where money buys votes. But the campaign contributions are almost really nothing in comparison to the expenditures on lobbying, which the oil industry makes. ExxonMobil spent 14 times more money on lobbying since about 1989 than it spent on campaign contributions. And that's just the direct lobbying money. Then, of course, there's all the money in the American Petroleum Institute, the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. And then there's the promises of the money that will come for lobbying when staff, members of Congress leave. So in California, we tried to pass a Proposition 87 2 years ago. California is the 3rd largest oil producing state in the country. We also are a state that just asked the Treasury Department for a $7 billion bailout. We have the wealthiest state in the country, but we are essentially not taxing. And so by a proposition, the citizens tried to tax oil companies when they take oil out of the ground, a small severance tax. The largest oil companies in the world produce in California, Exxon, Shell, Occidental, and Chevron. They would have borne the tax. And when the initiative was introduced at the state level, 65% of Californians thought it was a great idea. Within 5 months, it went down in flames. And the way that it went down was that the oil industry outspent us 2 to 1 and was always prepared to spend 3 to 1, 4 to 1. But more importantly, and this is very, very pertinent for the election we're in right now, I quote Yusef Robb, who was the communications director for the Prop 87 campaign, and he said, when we set out to win a campaign against big oil, Californians had no idea that it was big oil who was fighting back against us. Through front groups, through funding research groups to put out reports, that when the money was never traced back to the oil industry through the local chambers of commerce. You never saw an oil company CEO give a speech. You never saw a Chevron logo on a flyer. That all of the money came from the oil industry.